Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. If there's one thing, one truism that I hope you take away from my videos if you're a subscriber, it's simply this: that styles make fights. Right? A fighter can be a great fighter who runs through everyone else, but if his opponent has the key to his style, then that fighter can be destabilized. That's what's been happening to Manny Pacquiao whenever he fights Juan Manuel Marquez. Now the question comes up: can Pacquiao fight with a different style to actually beat Marquez? Yes, I believe so. Now, don't get me wrong. I expect more of the same. I'm one of those who don't believe that Manny Pacquiao has ever beaten Juan Manuel Marquez. Right? I haven't given Pacquiao any of their three fights. The things I'm looking for in a fight, I get that from Juan Manuel Marquez. But if we dig a little bit deeper, look under the hood, we'll find out that 5 guys have beaten Marquez. Right? 5. Now, of those 5, one fight stands out. Let me point out that 3 of the 5 are debatable. I have not seen a film of Marquez's debut fight against Javier Duran that Marquez lost, but the circumstances sound fishy. Marquez got disqualified in that fight in the first round because of a headbutt. Let's throw that one out. Marquez fought champion Freddie Norwood in 1999. I have the entire fight listed right now. The video is on my channel page. All I can say is look at the 8th round of that video. Just jump to the 8th round and you'll realize that Marquez may have gotten robbed in that fight because he clearly drops Freddie Norwood with an excellent counter. He should have gotten a medal for that counter. Instead, referee Joe Cortez missed the knockdown, thought it was a slip, even though Freddie Norwood is clearly destabilized. Right? And if you look at that fight, there's not a lot of action in the fight. Somehow, all 3 judges gave that fight to Freddie Norwood. I would consider that fight to be questionable. Some journalists who were at the fight thought that a then relatively unknown Marquez had won the fight. Right? So let's throw that out. There is one clear fight that Marquez lost by a wide margin. That's the Floyd Mayweather. Right? But, again, Mayweather fights a style that I don't believe Manny Pacquiao can duplicate. Right? Mayweather is a defensive master. Mayweather does things that, quite frankly, take years to learn. I don't expect Manny Pacquiao in a short camp to be able to fight like Floyd Mayweather. Okay, so let's throw out that one. Manny Pacquiao, of course, is officially a guy who has beaten Marquez. Right? Let's throw out those fights, because even Manny Pacquiao in recent interviews has said that he can't fight the same way he did in those fights, and that in his mind he needs a knockout to win this fight. Right? So let's throw out those fights, because even Pacquiao understands those fights have led to this fight, because those fights didn't give us a clear conclusion. Many, myself included, don't believe Manny ever beat Marquez. So that leaves one fight, and I believe it's the blueprint on what Manny needs to do to beat Marquez. And that was Marquez's loss to Chris John. Now, they do have a video up on YouTube. Unfortunately, it's only about 3 minutes long, and it's footage that, quite frankly, is too complimentary to Marquez. I actually saw the fight. I don't know when, but I have notes from when I saw the fight. And I thought Chris John's approach, and understand Chris John, as I make this video, is still unbeaten. And understand Marquez never fought a rematch with Chris John. I think Chris John's approach is the approach that Manny Pacquiao can use. And if Pacquiao is smart, I think this approach would allow Pacquiao to use the advantages he has over Marquez. Pacquiao, in my opinion, much faster than Marquez, both in foot speed and hand speed. Right? Manny Pacquiao moves very well. What Chris John did was Chris John pumped his jab. And unlike Pacquiao, and keep in mind, Pacquiao's style, who Pacquiao is he's a fighter. When he's in the ring, Manny Pacquiao needs to attack you. Manny Pacquiao, quite frankly, when he was at lower weights, was a knockout puncher. Guys did not go the distance with Manny Pacquiao. Now that Manny Pacquiao is older, age has something to do with it, but also now that he's fighting bigger men, many of the guys are going the distance against him, but they're getting battered in the process. Antonio Margarito, never the same, suffered an eye injury. Miguel Cotto made the 12th round. Miguel Cotto battered in that fight. Timothy Bradley, we're hearing now, was beaten up in that fight, had ankle injuries, hurt himself, got hurt in his fight against Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao batters you. He's not a guy who fights on his back foot. He's a guy who fights on his front foot. He's not a guy who waits for you. He's a lead puncher. Right? Whether you are throwing or not, Manny Pacquiao is throwing. The CompuBox numbers show that Manny Pacquiao is very high volume. Right? Pacquiao is a guy who, even against opponents who don't throw too much back like Joshua Clottey, is in there riddling you with punches. That's who he is. Well, this is the high level. This is an elite level. This is a level where he's now fighting a guy who, quite frankly, other than Manny Pacquiao, in the last 10 years, has only lost to Floyd Mayweather, arguably boxing's best pound for pound, and Chris John, who's still unbeaten. Right? That's where we are right now. That's who Manuel is. Juan Manuel Marquez in the last 10 years. Right? The Norwood fight, more than 10 years ago. His debut fight shouldn't even matter. Right? We're in the deep end of the pool. He's fighting a master counterpuncher who, style-wise, has used Pacquiao's aggression against him. Right? What I see in the first 3 fights is I see a master counterpuncher luring an over-aggressive opponent into a series of traps. He has Manny Pacquiao walking into left hooks. He has Manny Pacquiao walking into hard right hands. Right? Marquez literally has Pacquiao doing the work. Marquez is the one on his back foot. Manny Pacquiao is the one hunting Marquez down. When Pacquiao jumps in, Marquez has Pacquiao's left hand defensed. Then he counters Manny Pacquiao. Right? Pacquiao literally has been his own worst enemy. He's been walking into punches. Not only that, when Manny Pacquiao gets inside, the two guys actually engage each other. Pacquiao stays inside. The two guys both throw a number of punches. Right? Pacquiao isn't hitting and moving. He's coming inside and staying. That's giving Marquez an opportunity to land punches and to look good to fight fans like me, right? It's also taking away Manny Pacquiao's biggest asset, which is his speed, right? Guys who are fast should continue to be fast. They shouldn't give up the speed by coming inside and then standing there and actually exchanging with you where you know where to find them. Now, what Chris John did, unlike Manny, is to force Marquez to come find him. Right? Chris John stays outside. He's not jumping in like Manny Pacquiao is. He stays outside. He's pumping a jab to pick up rounds. He's staying outside. Let's go further. And I've said this in too many videos. A counterpuncher can't counter punches you haven't thrown. Okay? The high volume actually hurts Manny Pacquiao against a counterpuncher like Juan Manuel Marquez. He's better off, quite frankly, not throwing punches, lowering his volume, so that Marquez can't then hit him when his hands are extended. Pacquiao is better off not walking forward and walking into punches, right? Walking into traps. Rather, he's better off like Chris John, a few feet away from Marquez, pumping a jab. You're landing punches, right? Pump the jab, you're getting rounds. Marquez comes forward, you move, right? Forget this who is more macho. You move. You're on your back foot. You're the one setting the traps now. That left hand Manny Pacquiao has, and it's a great left hand. I know I call Pacquiao one-handed, but he has a great left hand, right? The one hand he has is great. Don't use that as a lead. Don't come in when Marquez is all defensed up and start throwing a combination that includes that left hand. Rather, keep your own left hand, your own Sunday punch, as a counter. In other words, you should be out there shooting the jab, right? You're fighting a master boxer. You should be sticking and moving, right? Sticking and moving. Then as your opponent opens up as he comes forward, because he's moving, now he's the one with the moving parts. Rather than be the one with the defensive guard waiting for you, now you have him, and he has slower foot speed than you. He has slower hands than you. Now you have him coming forward to find you. So he's the one moving. He's the one creating holes. Holes that you can then drop the left hand in on like a hammer. Right? What I want people to do is take a look at the George Groves James DeGale fight. In my opinion, I said this before the fight, I still believe this. In terms of boxing skills, James DeGale is much more advanced than George Groves. He's a master boxer, just like Juan Manuel Marquez is. You stand in front of James DeGale, you're going to get deconstructed. That's what James DeGale does, right? You charge James DeGale. James DeGale on his back foot can deconstruct you, right? Like Floyd Mayweather, James DeGale on the ropes with his back against the ropes can deconstruct you. So how do you beat James DeGale? You move. You're outside. You're George Groves. You're moving like Andre Durrell moved against King Arthur Abraham. You move. You shoot a jab. You limit the engages. You're not standing and then actually boxing with a boxer. No, you're hitting him with a jab. Then as he turns to get at you, you're gone. It's hit and run and move. Right? Let me also point out, too, that a round is a round. on the judges' scorecards, if it's going to be a 10-9 round, and you win a 10-9 round in the first round, that's as valuable as winning a 10-9 round in the 11th round, right? What Manny Pacquiao needs to do is, while his legs are fresh, he needs to stick, move, and bank the early rounds, right? There's no reason why he should spend any portion, in my opinion, of an early round engaging Marquez in a way where Marquez has him walking into traps and Marquez, the boxer, actually gets the box. No, those early rounds should be Manny Pacquiao showman, right? Shooting a jab, being outside, waving to the crowd, looking charismatic. Let me give you another round. This might be my favorite round of all time. The first round of the first Ali Liston fight. If you watch that round, Ali looks like he wins the round. It's not a close round. He has Liston looking foolish. But what I want you to do is, as you watch the round, actually count the number of punches that Ali actually lands. Right? Forget all the showmanship. What's Ali actually landing in that first round? And what you'll see is, I'm not sure if Ali lands anything in that first round. Certainly that first round, Ali lands, in my opinion, less than 5 punches. Right? It's showmanship. It's movement. It's ring generalship. And he wins the round. Because he's the faster man. He's the more charismatic man. He's moving around. Sonny Liston is where he wants Liston to be. Liston can't even cut the ring off. That's what Manny Pacquiao, who has the foot movement, who has the hand speed, that's the kind of dynamic Manny Pacquiao needs to set up early. He needs to make Marquez look like a 39-year-old man with slower feet. He shouldn't be boxing Marquez. He shouldn't be inside fighting Marquez. He shouldn't be Manny Pacquiao. What he should be is Manny Pacquiao with a different style. Shooting a jab. Being charismatic. Dancing around the ring. Waiting patiently for openings. Not high volume, low volume. Selective. Waiting for openings, making sure that he's able to put on a show every time Marquez throws a punch and misses him, right? Lean back, look dramatic, look like Paulie Malignaggi looks when you're throwing punches at him and he's making you miss. Make sure the judges and the crowd see that when you're moving around the ring, you have the foot speed advantage and Marquez can't touch you. Look like Ali looked against Liston. Liston literally is coming forward trying to corner Ali, and Ali's gliding around the ring. Right? Gliding. The attitude is, Liston can't corner me. You don't have to be macho. You don't have to have your back touch the ropes. You don't have to get caught. Just throw a jab. Pump it. You want to give the judges something to score in your favor. You also want to break up Marquez's face, don't you? Right? You want to puff up Marquez's face. My point to Pacquiao is, with the foot speed advantage, after 3 rounds, you should be up 3-0. After 2 rounds, you should be up 2-0. Worst case, after 3 rounds, you should be up 2-1. You should be the one moving around the ring, looking charismatic, not boxing Marquez, not being close enough to Marquez, shooting a jab. And of course, if Marquez comes forward, gets desperate, and starts throwing punches a bit wide that miss you by a while, you have the hammer. You have the left hand. Come in, you have it cocked, because you're not throwing it as a lead. You're throwing it just as a counter when you see openings. So when Marquez leaves himself open, you have that hammer. So if Pacquiao fights that kind of fight, again, a George Groves fight, an Andre Durrell fight, an Ali fight, where he's circling Marquez, and rather than coming in and actually trying to prove who has more testosterone, or coming in and trying to knock out Marquez, that's a recipe for disaster, right? You know, you pick a guy who's a master counterpuncher, who wants you to be aggressive, because that's what counterpunchers want you to be, who wants you to be aggressive, and worse yet, who knows you, who already knows he can go 12 rounds with you because he's done it 3 times, right? You don't want to try to come in and stop that guy early. That's not the way it goes. He already knows the angles. So let me say this. What do I expect to happen? I expect more of the same. I expect Marquez to outbox Manny Pacquiao. But Lord knows Pacquiao has had years to watch Marquez. These two have been fighting each other for years. He's had years to think about what Marquez has done to him in the ring. He has the foot speed. He has the hand speed. What he needs to do now, and I'm sure Freddie Roach has been telling him this, is to use more of both. And understand, he doesn't have to come in with the same amount of volume. If he comes in behind a jab and just circles Marquez, doesn't accept his invitation to actually fight, if he just comes in and stays outside and then slowly turns up the volume and doesn't fully throw the Manny Pacquiao game at Marquez until the 8th or 9th rounds, after he has banked several rounds just on foot speed and a jab, right? If he doesn't throw the total Manny Pacquiao game on Marquez until, let's say, the 8th or 9th round, after the 39-year-old has been following him around the ring for several rounds and actually has gotten tired, has actually had to use his feet more than he had the first 3 fights, then Pacquiao could do something special, especially in the later rounds. Certainly he'd be in a better position to win the fight on the scorecards than he has been. So if I'm Manny Pacquiao right now, I talk with Freddie Roach. Hopefully this is the plan they already have in place. And I need to be prepared to throw a right jab, use my left as just a counter, use my feet, and if he really knows how to play to the crowd, maybe we'll see an Ali shuffle here or there, a Sugar Ray Leonard shuffle, maybe a bolo punch, right? Because he'll know how to win rounds without actually boxing the boxer. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here online. I think Marquez again wins the fight, but if Manny Pacquiao comes in looking like Ali, I think Pacquiao would have the advantage. Will it happen, or will Pacquiao get lulled into the same strategy that has cost him in the past? We'll find out. Let me hear from you. Let me hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.